Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to The Way It Is Naturally. I am your host, Perry Larrabee, and this show is all about natural training, natural fitness, people that are doing it all the right way. And we're going to get into a very important topic, especially in light of the current pandemic, and we'll be right back to dive right into that subject matter. And welcome back. Thank you for joining me this evening. And tonight we are going to talk about gym requirements, particularly for training at home. Most of you are well aware, at least people that regularly train and train hard and look forward to that being part of their day. That we're in a state here where many gyms still haven't even reopened. I'm not sure exactly why, but they never actually went through a reopening, although many places did reopen. Some shut back down, but anyways, yeah, so many gyms didn't reopen. We also have cases where they're opening up with severe restrictions, limiting the amount of people that can come in there at a time. Also, some are actually making you wear a mask while you're trying to train hard. Some of them are shutting off pieces of equipment, so you're not really getting the full deal anymore, and it's taking away from your training, your mindset. I mean, those I guess who are actually back in the gym should be quite thankful that they're getting to do something. I can tell you, when I think back to last March, it was for me actually late March. Many of the gyms in other areas had already shut down in February or very early March, and I was thinking, God, I hope in our gym never does, and it seemed like it wasn't going to. Then all of a sudden, legislation came through, and therefore everything shut down. And like myself, I mean, like many, here I was, no gym to go to. I didn't have, at that time, I was actually in the middle of another move. I had no place or finances to set up a gym properly, or even minimally. And it was a very disillusional time for me. I was very taken aback. I had actually come back from severe illness, had made some tremendous gains, and all of a sudden I was faced with the reality that I was going to lose all that again. And thankfully, I'm a natural trainer. I did lose some, but not as much as people that are using PEDs as part of the regime. Because if you're using drugs and you're dependent on that and you need some stimulus for that, that's a lot of money going down the tubes for nothing if you can't train. Many people lucked out. They either had access to a gym through other means, or they had the capability, space, and finances to set something up. But for the majority of people, that wasn't the case. So what I thought would be a good thing to tackle, I see a lot of people talking about, what you can do to get by, to train. Well, there's lots of things you can do to get by if it's just, if your goal is just basic fitness. But if you're actually trying to, develop a bodybuilder physique, I mean, bodybuilding is a very general term. Let's face it. To some people, bodybuilding just means a little bit of tone and shedding some body fat, and they call that bodybuilding. When I think of bodybuilding, I think of that next step up. I think of people that are, trying to achieve their maximum physique, and I think, there's quite a number of these individuals. So for them, the use of such things as rubber bands and calisthenics, which all have a place for certain types of training styles. But when it comes to muscle hypertrophy, it's not going to cut it. You know, it might get you by, like, and it's the same thing. If you took a couple of weeks off, you don't lose a whole lot. You lose more mentally than you ever do physically. But with that said, the longer it goes on, you will start to lose. And doing push-ups and doing sit-ups and doing chin-ups, whatever, or planks or whatever, this is all good for maintaining some tone, but you're going to start to atrophy. That's reality. And you can debate that all you want, but you know, that's a fact. You need escalating intensity. You need you know, some type of a pyramiding intensity or pyramiding weight, an increased stimulus in order to create increased growth. Your body, you know, and doing untold repetitions in something is not going to meet the requirement. Like some people say, well, you know, you go from doing 25 push-ups to 50 push-ups, maybe 100 push-ups. Well, that's fine. That's no different than somebody saying, well, I'll do dumbbell curls. You know, if I do dumbbell curls with 10 pounds and I do, you know, 250 reps, I'm going to grow just as much as if I took a 35-pound dumbbell and only could, you know, pump out 12 or 15. No, it's not. Okay? There's a certain rep range that will achieve results. That's why, you know, to maybe give you something to think about, short sprinters, long distance runners, take a look at their legs. What do you think that's from? Other than drug use, it's because of the two different training styles. One is the marathon style of training, untold repetitions. The other thing is an all-out burst for a minimal amount of seconds. That's about as simple as I can put it. Okay, so you need to keep increasing resistance, increasing intensity, combination of the two. Okay, so for that, it takes weight training equipment. Now, here's the kicker though. What do you actually need in order to create a great physique? And I mean right up to the point where you can compete. Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of background on myself just to shed some light on that. My first 2 to 3 years of training, I never got to train in an elaborate gym. Never. I trained in a Nautilus club for my first 3 months or 6 months. I don't even think it was even that long. Got kicked out because I wanted to train too much. Back then I didn't know a whole lot about HIIT training, and just like many people, I thought I need to do lots and lots and lots, and they didn't like that philosophy, so we parted ways. So I went from there. I went to training at home. And all I had was literally one of the old Joe Weider benches, the little chrome things you get from Canadian Tire, vinyl weights, a chin-up bar that I fabricated. That was it. No cables, you know, dumbbells which you had to basically put together, but we didn't, even that wasn't very flexible, okay? And I trained like that for almost 6 months. And then my big step up was going to the local YMCA. Well, that YMCA, I trained at for the first year. As a matter of fact, I trained and competed out of that YMCA. And there, we actually had to fabricate our equipment. They had more of it, but we had to actually fabricate it in order to train. And what do I mean by that? We actually had to put our dumbbells together with those hex, you know, those hex screws on the collars. We had 2 little poles stands for a squat rack. Didn't even have a power rack. There was no such thing as a power rack. Okay. We had one cable machine for doing things like tricep pushdowns or rows. It was the same machine and it kept breaking. That's what I trained. I mean, press behind neck was those same 2 stands for the squat rack. Okay, and you basically took a short bench on top of a long bench and you threw an old pad on it because it was just a wooden bench, so it didn't kill your back, and that's how we trained. So, what am I trying to get across here? You don't need piles of stuff. If you look at what's going on in the gyms today, okay, what are they doing? They're creating tons and tons of this equipment that looks pretty. I can tell you right now, 90% of that stuff that looks pretty is garbage. It's absolute garbage. And why is it garbage? It's because it's being developed and made by engineers, not bodybuilders, okay? Maybe at some point they had a hand in it, but at some point the engineers took over and, you know, they started, you know, with their angles and their leverages and all this crap. And they have no clue what it takes to actually, you know, where the alignment should be, where the adjustments should be. So they lost sight of all that, but they certainly made up for it, making things look like it's space age. That's the biggest mistake I ever saw happen. One of the biggest brands that ever came on the market a number of years ago was Hammer Strength. And Hammer Strength, when it first came out, really got it right. But I've noticed that there's Hammer Strength in the gym that I'm currently training at, and most of it is terrible. It's not well designed at all. It's just, like I said, it's just pretty to look at and not near as functional. Okay, so what can you do, or what do you need? What should you do? So I'm going to take this as a step-by-step approach. Okay, I'm going to think of, if I only have X amount of dollars, like, what is the first thing I'm going to do? And then if I get a bit more, what would be the next thing I would get? Okay, so that's how we're going to go through this segment. So I can give you an idea of, if you're going to start thinking, because I want you to keep in mind, if any of you have been listening to the news lately, it's almost in the air. I smell a second shutdown happening, okay? Some places it's already happened. Here up in Canada, I do believe I listened to the news from Ontario, which I'm originally from, and I do believe they've already shut the gyms down again. And I'm afraid that they're going to have it happen out here before I get my facility up and running. Because that was one of the inspirations for me to open this facility, this private training facility, because I'd never want to be in that predicament again. Okay, so I'm thinking like you, and I'm trying to be proactive and thinking, okay, what do I need to get together first? I actually started my own equipment fabrication company. So this is, also to promote the equipment I make, and I'm thinking in terms of what do I want to make first to bring into my facility. And it's certainly not going to be a whole bunch of the space age crap that's out there. It's going to be stuff that is sturdy, functionally works amazing, and looks good. It just doesn't look space age, okay? So, if I am you, and I'm not thinking of me, I'm not thinking of this facility, if I am you, what is the first thing? I have limited dollars. What is the first piece of equipment that I need to get in order to me to do some training? That is a no-brainer. You need to get an adjustable set of dumbbells. They're actually hard to come by. And I think most people already realize that. People that are actually scattered all over the market, people have been asking ridiculous prices. Why companies have allowed people to just take hordes and hordes of these, of good equipment, and then jack up the prices, but that's what's been happening. So if you want to be proactive, now might be the time. Invest in a few basic things, and that will apply. I'm going to tell you what those few basic things I would invest in right now, even if your gym is still open. Because if they close, there's going to be another mad rush. Another mad rush, okay? So, first thing you need to get, an adjustable set of dumbbells. Now, depending on what level you're at, they do not need to be as expensive as, if you're a very advanced bodybuilder, well, yeah, you're going to have to probably get the top of the line. There's, Power Blocks out there, which are very hard to get at now. There's a couple other brands. Power Blocks are the only ones I know right now that actually, I think you can get extension packs that will go right up to, it's either 120 or 150 pounds each. For most people, they don't need that. I'm an advanced bodybuilder, but I don't do dumbbell work that's heavy. So for most people, and especially many ladies, okay, you could probably have a set that goes up to 50 pounds, 55 pounds, and do just fine. And you can do that for a reasonable price. I'm not going to discuss prices here right now because, I'm just not in that position to speak up for these companies, okay? And I'm not the spokesperson for them. But there's several other brands besides Power Block that are out there now. Bowflex makes a set. Not as good in my opinion. I've owned Power Block, so I can tell you I think they're great, okay? And in spite of looking a little awkward because they're squarish, extremely functional. They are extremely functional, okay? So with those dumbbells, you can work literally almost every body part. So let's start from the bottom up. Some of these exercises are not going to be, the way you'd ideally want to do them, okay? But we're talking about absolute necessity here, and you want to continue growth, okay? Let's start with calves. You can make a calf block literally out of a 4x4 and two 2x4s, and then use your dumbbell as a weight and do single leg dumbbell raises. You will get an amazing workout of that. You can still progress up, as heavy as possible, okay? You could even adopt a weight belt and really load up that dumbbell and then just use your hands as support and use your calf block, okay? So that dumbbell is going to allow you to work your calves. Now you can also do dumbbell squats. Okay, not the most favorable position to do it, but we're talking about, I only have X amount of dollars, what am I going to do first? So those dumbbells can now be used as your resistance to be doing squatting. Okay, moving up, let's go into chest. Well, there's unlimited amount of things you can do with chest. I mean, if you don't, so far I've said, you don't even have a bench, but let's just add a bench in there, because you don't need you can literally go to Canadian Tire if you need it, find yourself a cheap adjustable bench. But if you had the money, get the dumbbells and get your bench, okay? Because with those two things, you're not going to get, be able to do everything that you ever dreamed of, but you will actually be able to keep developing your physique. And there's the big difference between using rubber bands and doing calisthenics, okay? So we'll get on to chest. Okay, so you take your dumbbells, now you can do, and if it's an adjustable bench, you can now do flat bench flies. You can now do incline flies. You can, although I don't recommend flat bench press, flat bench dumbbell presses are superior to barbell. Okay, you could do those, or you do incline barbell presses. Okay, so there's 4 exercises for you to work for your chest. And then you could combine that with some push-ups or push-ups between chairs, whatever. Then creating a superset or a pre-exhaust system, okay? Take those dumbbells now, and you want to work back. Well, you can do a version of barbell rowing, but with dumbbells, 2 arms at a time. You can do single arm rows. Once again, not the absolute best, but still, okay, it'll do the job. Your lower back, you could do good mornings with it, okay? Holding your dumbbells in the front, making sure to keep your lower back tensed, and then you can do, an upward motion, a very controlled motion, and you can use your dumbbells and actually create growth with it, okay? So now you're doing some back work. It's not ideal, okay? But there's 2 exercises together that will continue to necessitate growth. So another thing that I say you add to this regime here, I'm talking about things that don't cost you money. So I said make the calf block. That'll cost you $1. Make a bar. Make a bar out of it for chin-ups, okay? So now all of a sudden you're sitting there with a chin-up bar, so you're able to do close grip pull-ups, wide grip pull-ups, both to the front, okay? So now you have an array of exercises for your back and your chest and your calves, okay, and your quads, okay? You can also do hamstring curls. Take the dumbbell, laying down on that bench. Once again, you have to learn to control it more, but you can take those dumbbells now and you can do a leg curl with it. It will create growth. Trust me, you don't need those, thousands and thousands of dollars machine to get those hamstrings to grow. You can get it happening, okay? So that works. Then we get into even the easier things that, dumbbells are just great for. Shoulders and arms. Well, shoulders, you can do bent over rear laterals. You can do bent over single arm rear laterals. You can do upright single arm or double arm side laterals. You can do front laterals, okay? You can do shrugs, load up your dumbbells as heavy as possible. So you're doing shrugs. I do that in my shoulder workout, but that's actually part of your back, okay? So you can do that. You can do dumbbell presses, okay? And then you can do, obviously, and then you move on to biceps. Well, you have a bench. You can do standing curls, 1 arm at a time, 2 arms at a time, excuse me. Hammer curls, alternate incline dumbbell curls. A vast array, okay? Tricep, same thing, okay? You can turn around and you can do, you can superset doing, really narrow grip, close grip push-ups with dumbbell extensions. You can do dumbbell extensions 2 arms behind your head, very heavy, single arms behind the head, lying down, single arm laterals, a whole assortment of exercises for the arms as well. You've basically just covered your whole body with nothing more, okay, than a set of adjustable dumbbells and an adjustable bench, okay? It's not, the be all and end all, but it is the ultimate basic gym at this point that creates growth. It's a big step, okay, ahead of rubber bands, and kettlebells. Some people seem to like that. I personally never use them, but you have to think each kettlebell itself. That's not cheap because you can only get one at a time, right? You need a whole assortment. Whereas you buy an adjustable set of dumbbells, you got the whole gamut. Okay, so here you are. You've really only bought the adjustable dumbbells and the adjustable bench. That's a minimum requirement. You could probably get both those things. I mean, with a set of dumbbells going up to maybe like 90 pounds, okay, and a bench, and I'm talking Canadian dollars here. It's more expensive than down the U.S. So for my American friends, you can do it cheaper for $1,000. If you make your own bench and just get the dumbbells, a number of $100, because you basically can make your chin-up bar for nothing, make your cap block for nothing, okay? So what would be the next thing? Excuse me, I'll take a little drink here. Okay, so what do I add next to add more variety? And what will be the next piece of equipment I'm going to add? I'm going to add an Olympic barbell set. Some people might say, well, why go that route? What about a camber bar or an easy curl bar? Or no, these are things that were developed later on and be more specialized. Your Olympic bar, okay, is going to be your next step up because you could rig something to act as stands and actually do a back squat now, okay. You can definitely start off your bench now. You can do a barbell incline press, okay? You can do barbell bent over rowing. You can do barbell curls. You can do tricep skull crushers. You can do, you add a whole array now, okay, by adding one more element. And I believe you can get yourself a decent poundage, 200 to 300 pounds worth of weight and an Olympic bar for in the area of about $400, give or take. I'm throwing out numbers here. I have looked into things, but it depends on the quality you want, but you don't need the ultimate best quality. You're not getting into a powerlifting meet where your bar has to hold, 800 pounds for a squat. We're not doing that. You're not that strong, okay? And if you're in that league, you're probably already taken care of where you got to train because they're making sure that you don't fall by the wayside, okay? I'm talking about the average person that wants to keep training. They want to, keep making growth progress, and they maybe want to compete, and they don't want to lose everything. Where to put their money in step by step should, the gyms stay shut down or continue to shut down or completely shut down again, okay? Don't get yourself into that position. Okay, so with that said, what would be the next piece, okay? So the next piece I would add would be some type of a cable setup. Now, for those that are very industrious, you can rig something up. For those that aren't, it doesn't have to be elaborate. I'm not talking about one of these $4,000 and $5,000, functional trainers. That is just way out of the league for most people, okay? You can get yourself, many companies are making these more home gym style setups, where you actually add your own free weight, okay? But they're on a cable setup, and once you have those basic cables, in most cases now you can do a seated row. You can do tricep push down work. You can do rear delt work, front delt work. You can do an amazing amount of things here now. You can even do stuff for your hip flexors. Even rig it up with a band to be able to use with your flat bench to do leg curls. That would be my next step up, okay? Adding that in. If I really had the money, I would go for a functional trainer, because once you have adjustable dumbbells right up to the maximum weight that you need. I don't know why my screen is fading out there on me in the back, but if you had that, okay, cover that. I don't know what's going on there. Anyways, if you had your dumbbells, your bench, okay, those couple of things I told you how to build, and your Olympic set, and a functional trainer, you were basically set, because most of the functional trainers come with attachments where you can add in an actual leg curl, leg extension machine. They're set up, most of them as well, to be used as a Smith machine. So now you're actually doing full squats, okay? So, I mean, if you want to go a second route, which I wouldn't have a problem with, it'd probably be somewhat cheaper, get a power rack, okay? And for many people, they may even, debate me on that, get the power rack first. And I may even side with you on that. I wouldn't have an issue with that. Because with the power rack, you can now do squatting safely. You can do bench pressing off that heavier. You can do a lot of things in a power rack, okay, in a safer fashion, that's for sure. And if you're prepared to do both, you're pretty much set. But we're talking about, if you had to make your choices. The power rack itself is not as flexible because in a functional trainer, you now have the ability to you basically have your cables built in. You can do all types of chest work. You can do so many things with a functional trainer. And functional trainers range in price from, I'm talking Canadian dollars here right now, from about $2,500 to about $5,000. That's the range, okay? So with that, if you chose a functional trainer, then you wouldn't even need to do that basic pulley setup. So you can take that out of the equation. Like if you already know you have the money. So I know, I can say safely, I do believe, that if you had the money, if you want to get a functional trainer, an Olympic set, an adjustable set of dumbbells, many of the functional trainers, for example, come with a specialized bench for their equipment, with the attachments to the leg curls and leg extensions, okay? You would probably be able to do all that for about $8,000. That's a lot of money for some people, for sure. But I'm just telling you the progression, right? If you had that kind of money, you could go out there, add in some mats on the ground. You have yourself a gym that you could create a physique and compete with. Now, I know because that gym that I just described is far superior to anything I ever trained in my first few years. Matter of fact, even my first 5 years. I went to a big club after and they did not even have that. They had other equipment, but most of the other equipment was useless, which is my big problem with most of these companies, which is why I started Both Fierce Equipment Manufacturing. It's the same thing. I was just tired of equipment that was made inferior, poorly designed, purely for looks. It did not have the functionality, the adjustability. There is so much missing, but they certainly look pretty. Okay, and that's what the clubs want. They want stuff that looks pretty, because they don't. In the end, they do not even care if you keep coming back. As long as you have your membership there, they don't care if you only show up once a month or whatever the case might be. You'd be amazed how many people have memberships. They're so lackadaisical about, they pay them their $20 a month or $30 a month. Some, a lot of them are up around $50, $60 a month. Barely ever even use it. And these gyms, they don't care. Okay, so be proactive here, folks. Like I said, it is in the air. I'm almost going to go on record and I hate to even say this, that the gyms are going to shut down again. I don't want to see that happen. I know I don't want to have it happen. I don't want to have my training interrupted anymore. So if you have some dollars and you have the ability to look around now, do as I said. If you have limited dollars, get your adjustable set of dumbbells. Get yourself an adjustable bench, then get yourself an Olympic set. Then, depending on how much money you have, if you're not going to have the money for a functional trainer, get a power rack. If you have the money for the functional trainer, get the functional trainer. If you have money for both, get them both. Okay, because really, you don't need much more after that. Because if you can get yourself a set of really good quality adjustable dumbbells, they can go up, like I said, as high as, I believe, 150 pounds. And for most people, they just don't work with weights like that, not in dumbbells, okay? So that's my take on, setting up your own ultimate gym with a base amount of money, okay? I don't want to see you spending piles of money on garbage, because you can go into many of these places, they're selling equipment, but most of the equipment is garbage. It's either poorly manufactured, it's not very stable, it looks pretty, but it's not functional, okay? You can't go wrong with adjustable dumbbells, barbells, adjustable benches. These are all basic pieces of equipment, okay? And they do not, require a lot of maintenance. They do not require, not much chance of them breaking down, okay? They will last you as long as it takes. And right now, I hope I'm wrong. I hope that the gyms stay open. I hope they start to take the restrictions off. But be proactive. Don't have yourself in a pickle here where you lose your training ability, and that's just not good for anybody's state of mind. Not good for your body. Yeah, you can go back to rubber bands and balls and stuff like that, but you're not going to be able to create hypertrophy. Okay, it will come to a standstill, and then it's already. Let's face it. When you want to develop your ultimate physique, you're already up against a mountain. Especially if you're a natural trainer, you're already thinking, what can I do, to keep my gains going? So you already hit plateaus. You already have obstacles. Do you really want the next obstacle to be you don't even have a gym to train at? No. So, anyways, my name is Perry. This is The Way It Is Naturally. I hope you tune into this show every week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We try to get our spotlight show on as much as we can. If you happen to be a person that has a story, it doesn't have to be some amazing, outlandish, out of this world story. If you've made some changes in your life and you want to tell everybody about it, but more than that, you want to inspire others, you're a natural athlete. You have to be a natural athlete, because if you're not, I don't bring people on here that are not. This is a natural platform, okay? Do it right, do it the right way. You will end up doing it as a lifestyle for the rest of your life. It'll serve you well, and it will have outpourings into other areas of your life, and you will be amazed by it. Trust me, I have 4 decades plus of experience, and it has got me through so many things, okay? So, my name is Perry. Join me at bullfiercetraining.com. Join me on Facebook at Bull Fierce Training, Instagram, Twitter, etc. And I hope to hear from you all. Take care, train hard, train Bull Fierce. Bye for now.